Welcome to Move and Improve, where we get behind the scenes of Let's Get Moving. And today, we're also getting behind the scenes of two college brothers with Wade Swikle. How are you, my friend?
Man, I'm doing awesome. This is my first time in Canada. I'm in beautiful Toronto, the windy city, as they like to say, and I'm having a blast so far.
Awesome, man. I'm really happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, my name's Wade. I own two college brothers moving and storage. Some of you may know me as the host of the Grow Your Moving Company podcast and the co-founder of Moving Titan Retreats and Tighten Up Training. I like playing wiffle ball and pickleball. I've got a dog named Thunder, and that's a little bit about me.
What's wiffle ball?
So wiffle ball is a backyard version of baseball. Essentially, it can be a one-on-one sport or it can be a team sport. And I grew up playing baseball, played a little bit in college. And my brother and I would always just go out into the backyard before or after dinner and just, play a version of baseball in the backyard or the front yard, whatever house we were living in at the time. And, there's adult competitive leagues now. And so now I try to play. I like to claim that I'm semi-professional at a sport now, even though it's a kid's backyard game, but it's more than that. It's really my true passion. Moving's just a side hustle.
Good stuff, man. How'd you like the gym today?
Oh man, this is beautiful. I mean, we stayed in beautiful Toronto at the Hotel X, per your recommendation at the gym that you went to.
Yes.
Your trainer MJ took us through the rigmarole. I'm going to be really sore, but you've got a yacht booked for us tomorrow,
That's
so
right.
I don't plan to have to move a lot.
We'll be relaxing all day tomorrow,
Exactly,
that's for sure.
exactly. So it's awesome to see your facility, though. I mean, this is world class, what you have going on here. I saw all of your departments, from the SEO department to the PPC department to the HR department, which we just had a little run-in with your HR person for, just hanging out. But like your IT department, your call center. I mean, this is dialed, man. I'm super impressed with everything I've seen so far.
Appreciate it. It is so nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. You wrote a book. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, Hometown Titan, build a local business that dominates your market. And, I got to thinking, I'm in the franchise space, and I'm looking for people that have what it takes to own a moving company in the franchise space. We first really met at a trade show.
Yes, sir.
I think was it Miami or Orlando?
I think so, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And, I was thinking there's moving franchises that scaled very quickly. You've got your big national brands that have been around for 10, 20, 30 years in the franchise space. And as an independent moving company owner coming up through the ranks, I would look at those guys and be like, man, they're just like offering cookie cutter services. They were kind of the laughing stock of the neighborhood, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I get into franchising, I don't want to be another one of those big national brand companies. I want to find people that want to dominate the hometown that they're in. They just want to be in business for themselves, but not by themselves.
That's right.
And so that kind of got the wheels turning with the Hometown Titan book, because I wanted to teach people how to be a hometown dominator, like Louis Massaro used to say, a hometown titan. And we had the Moving Titan Retreat, Chad and I. For those of you who might know Chad with Master Movers, we came together and we were doing the Moving Titan Retreat. We started Tighten Up Training, which you're a part of and an awesome partner in. And we look up to you in a lot of the things that we've taught in that. And I got to thinking, like, we could incorporate that hometown dominator model that Lewis talked about, but surround ourselves with Titans and make it the Hometown Titan book. And it'll ultimately be a way for me to build a personal brand, build a brand for two college brothers, build a brand for the Tighten Up Training, for Moving Titan Retreat, but also find and attract the moving company owners that want to dominate their hometown and become a pillar of their community.
Absolutely.
And that's really kind of what got that process started in writing the book. And it was a super fun process. I've always been, interested in writing. I like to write. It's a therapeutic outlet for me. And it took me about 8 months to write it. And
good man.
We got it out of the gates,
good
off the
man.
ground. Yeah.
You've definitely made a name for yourself in the moving industry. That's for sure. I don't think almost every moving company that is showing up to your Tighten Up retreats, that is looking to better themselves and their company, wouldn't know you. So I'm glad to be part of your company and everything that you stand for. That's for
thank
sure.
you.
How did you start your moving company?
Oh man. Well, I played a little baseball in college. Came back, wasn't good enough to really get to that next level. My dad, I think, probably saw that before I did, and he was like, "You got to get a job." When I came home from my freshman year for the summer, and it was during the recession. It was like 2009. I was in a very seasonal town that relied on like the snowbirds in the off season in the winter to come. And nobody was hiring. Nobody wanted a college kid that was only going to be there for a few months with no experience, that, you know, didn't have any kind of a resume whatsoever, except for maybe working at Door Depot when I was 15 and being a pizza delivery boy. And I had a hard time finding a job. I applied to like 30 places. And so my dad was like, all right, well, I got a job lined up for you to go work in the back room of JCPenney folding clothes for the summer. And I was like, that sounds like the worst job ever. So I was like, I'll do anything else. And I started posting on Craigslist and saying I'm a young college athlete looking for any sort of general labor. And I got all kinds of weird, odd jobs. I was like helping handymen and helping hold hoses for carpet cleaners. That sounded kind of weird, but like actual like hoses for carpet cleaners. But then people started calling me to help them load and unload U-Haul trucks and Penske trucks.
Interesting.
And I spent the whole summer doing that, working for cash, and people would feed me lunch. They'd always tip a little bit extra. I could create my own schedule. And I was like, this isn't too bad. I'm working out. I'm getting out there. I'm seeing a new job site every day. It doesn't get boring. And for those of you who might own a moving company or don't, moving is never boring. And figured that out pretty early on. And I just liked it. And then people seemed to like the idea of hiring a college student as their mover. And so I went back to, I ended up transferring from the small school I was playing ball at to University of Florida, and was doing the same thing up there. I joined a fraternity, and I was getting all my fraternity brothers to work with me to go do the moving jobs, loading and unloading U-Haul trucks. I worked for a small company for a little bit as a 1099 contractor doing it. And, I just kind of fell in love with it. Moving has a tendency to suck you into it.
It does.
And you just get stuck in this
business.
business.
For sure.
And for better or for worse. But I would look around and I'd see people absolutely crushing it. And then I'd see people that necessarily weren't, or not necessarily weren't. That was a double negative. But besides the grammar point, I just was like, I can run with this idea. And in the beginning, I was focusing on moving college students and hiring college students to help college students move. But I realized that wasn't sustainable on every single angle that you could look at it as. Like, college students weren't reliable. College kids that were hiring us didn't have any money. So we decided to branch off more into residential moves, trying to go after bigger jobs, hiring more full-time professionals to help us move. And it took me probably 7 years before I really figured it out. And it wasn't until I went to my first Louis Massaro conference that I was like, holy cow, there's like other people that are doing what I'm doing, that are coming from the same place that I'm coming from, that are thirsty for this knowledge, because there's no resources out there. And when I went to that Louis Massaro conference for the first time, it was like a light bulb went off.
Yes, sir.
And it gave me the blueprint that I needed. And from there, we've just been growing ever since.
Good, man. Look at you now. I actually had the same experience, I would say. When I went to the first seminar, it was definitely a huge light bulb moment for me as well. I was like, holy shit, this guy's doing something right. I really was inspired by him as an individual, you know, the way he carried himself, the way he looked like he had everything together. I was like, there's definitely a better way of doing this. Looking at him and looking at myself, I was like, shit.
Yeah.
I got to get some work done. That's for sure.
And just getting in the room with those other people that had already figured it out.
Absolutely.
And connecting with those people was just huge.
That's right. You know Adrian from Stairhoppers. I was actually, luckily, I ended up sitting right beside him at the first seminar. And I learned a lot from him. A lot of my company processes I've learned from him. And the networking has been huge through the moving sector. Like, we meet, we know so many great guys and so many people we talk about, because it's just filled with good people with big hearts, and they just want to do good for the community, want to have a good business, and they want to help the people around themselves. So I feel like we're in a really good place, and you've definitely continued that after Louis Massaro with your retreats and I love coming there. I get to speak to so many good people, and it's just such a beautiful community to be part of.
Well, that's the beauty of it. And I think, Lewis taught us what we needed to do.
Yes.
And he allowed us to connect with people that we needed in a time where there were no other real resources in the space. And I got invited out to a small gathering of moving company owners, probably around 2018. And we would present on our businesses for 2 hours, and everybody would go around the room. There was probably 8 of us there at that time, ask each other questions. They would give us answers to the struggles that we were going through. And it was so instrumental in the growth of my business. And I got some real light bulb moments from that experience where people were like, you need to go into storage. You should focus on Tampa. And like, I took that, and within 6 months, I had a storage warehouse in Tampa.
Nice.
At that time, I was still living in Gainesville, operating out of Gainesville. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like I need a bigger market.
That's a bigger market.
I need a warehouse. I need to do the storage to get the passive revenue coming in from that. And it like that one little Airbnb meetup in 2018 next to the Louis Massaro conference that I went to the year before, where I got that blueprint, those two things combined just put my business on steroids and allowed me to take off. And that's about the time I started my podcast, because I was like, I need answers. So I just started picking up the phone, calling moving company owners, asking them, what's your secret? How are you successful? Because I could not figure it out. I was just spinning my wheels, and people were willing to talk. And I was like, there's got to be other people out there that want to hear what these people are saying.
That's right.
Do you mind if I hit record and I publish this on the internet as a podcast?
Yes.
And I had no idea what would come with it, but I figured only good things would happen out of it. And that's really how I started the podcast, is because I was just thirsty for that knowledge on what people were doing to be successful, so I could model that success.
Yeah, I heard some of your podcasts, and it kind of motivated me to do the same thing.
I can see that. You've done it way better than me. Look at this. Look at this studio. This is fantastic.
I'm so glad you came in person to do this. This is so cool. But yeah, I think we're very lucky to have an industry where people are pretty open to help each other. A lot of people have an abundance mentality where they're not looking to keep everything to themselves, and they're looking to share. They're looking to grow the industry. They're looking to make the industry better for everybody, so that we can kind of raise the standards in the entire industry, right? And that makes us all better.
And I'm glad you said that, because it's this mentality of abundance. Like, you have your old school movers that have always just kept their cards close to their chest. They're afraid of competition. But what we've built with the Moving Titan Retreat is this community of business owners that see what we see, and that, like, holding your cards to your chest and just living at the top of the mountain by yourself, like, that's lonely. But when you get around people that are on their own mountains, and some are taller than others, it allows you to just kind of open up and talk about the struggles that we all deal with. It's almost like a weekend therapy session.
That's right.
Part of the reason we call it a retreat. But also we get to talk about ideas that we have and things that we're doing that are working in different markets. And sometimes it's our competitors. But I like to say that sometimes your competitors are your best referral partners.
Absolutely.
Because you might offer different services, different niches. Maybe you book up and they don't. You can pass it to a reputable person that you trust.
That's right.
Maybe they do that too. You can do a lot. You can order materials and stuff on scale and bulk, and collaborate on, how to make the community better. And the stigma that I think a lot of consumers have with movers is that shady, blue collar, rough around the edges, person that shows up at your house. But if we can lift that industry up, it lifts that perception up, and it prevents us from becoming a commodity, and allows us to start to become something that is unique and allow us to have unique selling points, while eventually, ultimately collaborating and working together.
I love that. Yeah, I try to think the same way, so that we can all raise the industry and charge more and all be better and have better standards. It's way better than just holding everything to yourself. And I think after Louis Massaro, that kind of paved the way for everybody, especially with your retreat, to kind of want to help each other. Like, I see in the groups that when we go to the Tighten Up retreats, I see people get in circles and they start kind of sharing ideas and sharing their secrets even. And it's just so beautiful to see. And it looks like people are so inclined to help each other. And it's so lovely to see. And I'm really happy to be part of that. All right, next question I've got for you is, what was your biggest aha moment that has shaped your company today?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Luis Massaro conference, I think that was the biggest aha moment because I was like, wow, like all of the things that I've been struggling with, I've gotten now answers to. I've gotten a blueprint. I finally have a blueprint because I read a lot of business books. I studied a lot of different businesses, but it was really hard to get the answers specific to my industry.
That's right.
And by going to that, I was finally like a light bulb went off. I went home and just tried to implement as much as possible. And I know you did too.
That's right, yeah.
And you take some things and you say, well, I don't know if that matches my style, and you tailor it. But the majority of it was like, this is what we need to do. This is the model to success. It's the recipe right here. And so that was probably the first one.
Yeah.
But over the years, every single retreat that we've hosted since Luis kind of got out of the game a little bit has been, I've gotten more of those aha moments. Like now we're dealing with things that we weren't dealing with 7-8 years
That's
ago.
right.
We got AI. We've got, a lot of algorithm changes on social media and Google and everything else.
That's right.
We've got a lot of different technologies that we can now leverage. We've got different trends that we can leverage. We were just looking at the TikToks with your dog that you were doing. I'm like, we got to do that. So, that like every single retreat, I come back with new ideas. I come back fired up, and that's really the reason why we do them.
I love it. Next one I've got for you is, if you had to start from scratch, what would you do differently?
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that one because sometimes there's those days where I just want to burn it all to the ground and restart from the beginning. I'd probably go into roofing. No, I'm just kidding.
Fire everyone, go into roofing.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Roofing sounds terrible, but they do have big tickets, which is nice. But I would say learning my numbers better and seeking mentorship sooner.
That's right, exactly.
Because in the beginning, I got a master's degree in entrepreneurship and I took accounting and finance and all this stuff. But I didn't really pay attention, like take it, I didn't like learn a ton from it. I learned a little bit, but if I wish I would have studied how QuickBooks works and how to lay out my profit and loss sheet, how to really understand a balance sheet, get all of the KPIs dialed in. And a lot of those KPIs came from the second one I mentioned, which was the mentorship, finding the mentors that had succeeded and what KPIs they were looking at, and what where should labor be, where should fuel be, where should claims be, where should my administrative operating expense be on fixed expenses, what should all my fixed expenses be, understanding cash flow, all of that stuff. If I would have really taken it seriously early on, because when I started out I was like, I'm just gonna make a ton of money and those problems will take care of themselves.
I had definitely the same mentality.
Yeah. And to an extent, sales does solve all problems.
Exactly,
let's be honest.
yeah.
But back then, when you don't have a ton of sales, there's a lot of problems that come up that it's okay, well, where am I bleeding right now? And if you can understand every single KPI and look at it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you're able to catch things before they become that problem instead of looking back 11 days after the month end at your P&L and wondering where all the money went. You can look at it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. I mean, a lot of companies, probably yours, are looking at things 4 times a day on an hourly basis.
Yeah.
And that I wish I would have really taken more seriously in the beginning, but it would take mentorship in those stages to understand how to look at those things.
Yeah, right now we're assessing numbers literally daily around 4:30 p.m. The same lady, the HR lady, comes in with all of our information of what we made, what we spent, and we do this daily and weekly and monthly as well. So it's kind of opened up really a lot of doors for us to understand where we're messing up and where we're spending too much. When you know what you should be spending, and after month by month, you start to realize when you start to realize the pattern, and when you start to realize that certain categories are more than a couple of months ago, and that's when you can dig deep and realize, oh, this is why, and this is what happened, and that's why this is more than a couple of months ago. So when you build that pattern, you get to really understand your numbers properly. All right, now I've got some franchise development questions for you. What made you go into franchising?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer in having a local ownership presence in your business. I grew up looking at a lot of my friends, a lot of my sports teammates, parents, the kids that would get the nicest equipment. Their parents tended to be local business owners, and that's part of the theme of my book, Hometown Titan, was that pillar of the community, local presence. You just have your finger on the pulse of like what the local trend is. You can watch the news, you can read books, you can do all that stuff, and that's good. But from a local standpoint, you're driving the route and you see like a massive billboard for the big, electrician or attorney or whatever it is. And you're like, dang, like that's a household name in my community. And that's what I ultimately wanted for my business. But I knew if I wanted to grow beyond the towns that I lived in, that wouldn't be possible. I wouldn't be able to like see those like pillars of the community that were household names that everybody knew. And so that's what appealed to me about franchising. And there's a lot of pros and cons to franchising, as you know, but I wanted ownership in each of my markets I was in, because when I was starting out, I mean, for the first 13 years in my business, I tried to open a second location. I was going back and forth. And I had an employee at the time tell me that it seems like wherever Wade tends to spend the most time, whether it was Gainesville or Tampa, that business sees sales spike up. And I don't even know why that necessarily was, but she was right when she told me that. And I was like, like, is it just because I'm like I'm keeping it front of mind? It's in my like reticular activating system that, I'm looking for a red Jeep, so I start to see red Jeeps everywhere. But like, I think that's really what it comes down to. When you're there every single day and you're able to see that environment, you're able to find opportunities and address problems and see areas where there's like a gap. Like maybe this apartment never has any moving flyers in it because you just happen to drop by and hand out some flyers like, oh, we need to focus on this place or whatever. Like those like little things that only an owner, I think, can really recognize is what you're going to focus on. And so that's what appealed to me most about franchising when I decided to make that leap.
I love that. What kind of support concept do you have for your franchising?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm always available. I want to be like their mentor. I want to be the Louis Massaro to my franchisees. Of course. And obviously, I talk to a lot of moving company owners and I try to help as many people as I can. But when I have skin in the game with them, I want to do it more. And I want to always be available. So we'll have regular weekly or bi-weekly calls scheduled with them to just, have a mastermind together and just say, hey, what's on your mind today? What's the biggest problem you're having? What's the biggest challenge you're facing? Have you found any good marketing ideas that maybe we could try at my location? And so that, I want that real hands-on approach. You see a lot of our predecessor franchisees that they just sold as many companies as they could. They passed it off to a consultant or a, franchise company to manage for them. But they don't really have that same skin in the game. They haven't been through the same experiences that I have as an owner. And so that's ultimately what I want to do. And so I've taken a little bit of a different approach where I really only want franchisees to come to me. In the beginning, I was going to the trade shows and trying to find good people. But then I got to thinking, I was like, be the flame, not the moth. I think Casanova originally said that back in the day. But I want somebody who's drawn to me, because if I'm chasing them, then they're always going to be a little more distant than if these people find me through the various ways that they can. I'm not popular. That's a bad word. I'm easy to find.
You are pretty popular.
No. I didn't mean to say that. I didn't mean to say that. Cut that out.
It's definitely true.
Jamie, cut that out. But I'm easy to find on the internet. Yes. So, I try to make myself that way so that the right people are drawn to my values instead of trying to force my values on somebody else.
You find a lot of people come and ask you for advice at these tight number retreats as well?
Yeah, I hide. No,
really?
I'm just kidding. I don't hide. But yeah, just because of the podcast and, all that stuff. I mean, I don't have all the answers, and that's not why we got into the Titan retreats. I don't want to be the one that they worship as their guru. I just want to facilitate that, bring together the people and let them read between the lines and make their own decisions, because, I haven't figured it all out. And I learned just as much from everybody that I talked to at those events than, they might learn from me. But I don't want to steer them in the wrong direction because every market's a little different.
That's right.
And certain things will work in my market that might not work in your market,
Yes.
and vice versa. So I'm more interested in just facilitating those interactions than being the person that wants to come and think that I have all the answers.
I get it. It's like not wanting to be the mover, but wanting to have a moving company.
Yeah, exactly.
So with regards to the franchise concept, do they do their own sales? Do they do their own marketing? Or how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so they ultimately do their own local marketing, like boots on the ground stuff.
Okay.
And they'll do their own on-sites. They have the option to hire their own salespeople because kind of going back to that like finger on the pulse of your market, I found that I tried originally to do the centralized sales center model, but I realized that our booking percentages were way lower than when we had salespeople in those markets.
Really?
Yeah. So I actually encourage them to build out their own sales team. We'll still be there for back-end support if they miss a call or if they need some advice or if they, have something, if they are just starting out and they don't have the resources to hire their own sales team or the time to go do their own estimates. We'll still be there and we'll provide that centralized back-end support system. But I want them to ultimately build their own team around them because, they're paying us a markup on booking their jobs.
Yeah.
And, that's the only way that model works is to charge a markup on it.
Yes.
But I'm like, I want you guys to make money. I want you to be rich. I want you to be a success story because if you're a success story, then I don't even have to sell the franchise. People are going to find out that you're a success story with the franchise model, and then they're going to want a franchise too. So that's the approach that I take.
I like that. It's very interesting you say that they could have a better booking percentage in their own market and people that potentially live there.
They know the streets. They know the neighborhoods. It's easy to relate. Oh, your kid goes to that school. My kid goes to that school too. Oh, they have Mrs. Smith as a teacher. Great. Boom. Sold.
Done.
Yeah. Versus somebody in Tampa or, somewhere else in the world, if we're leveraging a VA for, overflow or AI, like they don't have the same kid in the same school. That's the same teacher. They don't know the street. They didn't grow up in the neighborhood next to that neighborhood.
Can't build the same rapport.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's a benefit to having that, but there's also a benefit to having that back end support. And then, of course, we control the SEO. We've got the website.
You do? Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. So we do a lot of it. We give them all the templates that they need so that they can just plug and play. But ultimately, it's up to them to build the relationships in the community because referral business books at a significantly higher percent than any other form of marketing. So they need to build those relationships to get those referrals. And they ultimately need to do a great job because every move should be a move multiplier like Lewis taught us.
That's right.
You want every single move to leave a review on every platform and to refer multiple people who will refer multiple people who leave more reviews. So that's ultimately the franchisee's responsibility to make sure that that happens. But we give them the recipe, we give them the templates, we give them the back-end support to make sure it does.
Can I ask you what kind of royalties do you charge?
6%.
6%.
Yeah, 6% on sales and then 8% on anything that we book in Tampa through our centralized model. And we have a few different ways of going about it. If they're going to use our call center, we have a call center fee, and then we have a marketing fee for the SEO and the back end stuff that we do. But 6% royalties.
What do you charge for the call center fee?
$19.95.
$19.95.
Yeah. If they don't use our call center, then they don't have to pay it. They can build out their own, but then they lose that.
Oh, you have
support.
a flat fee of almost $2,000, right?
Plus 8% of what we book.
So you charge them $2,000 monthly?
Yeah. So that
plus
monthly
the 8%.
Plus the 8%.
I see.
Yeah, and that covers like our CRM expenses.
Of course.
That covers our management expenses.
It's just not cheap, man.
No, it's not.
This day and age, it's not cheap.
Nothing is anymore. That hands-on approach. The other is our raving fan guarantee. We offer essentially a money-back guarantee, and that's something that we expect all of our franchises to live up to. If a client isn't satisfied with any of the movers on a job, we'll refund the fee for the cost of that mover that was assigned to their job, no questions asked. So they can just call us up and say, hey, so-and-so wasn't pulling their weight. I don't really expect anything. Don't worry about it. We'll take his fee off. But like the times I can count people actually redeeming that guarantee, I probably count on one hand.
Wow.
And we've been doing it for a couple of years now. And I learned that from somebody who spoke at our retreats, Larry from Gentle Giant. He does that up in Boston. And I think it's important to have a guarantee where you stand behind your work because, people don't trust us already. From the second, even if you have the best marketing in the world, you have a good reputation, you're a mover at the end of the day. They're going to call you up and they're going to expect to get treated like every other mover on the planet.
That's right.
But no other mover on the planet offers a guarantee. So that's probably our biggest selling point is that we have that guarantee.
That's crazy. That is crazy. You talked about raving fans. What's your secret to turning customers into loyal clientele?
Training, I think, is one of the most important things, and culture. So that's been our two biggest focuses this summer, are training and culture. They kind of go hand in hand. You have essentially a culture of training. So everybody in the company, if everybody in the company is training on a daily basis and you build that into your budget as an owner, it just gets ingrained into your culture to where you hire a new guy and they're not doing something how everybody else is doing it. They're going against the culture. And if the culture is, hey, listen, you need to go back and do some training on this, then they're either going to do it or they're not. And if they don't, then they're not a good fit for our company.
Easy to spot out.
Yeah. And I think those two things are going to be the most, that's the secret sauce in really any business is
That's right.
continuously get better and have a positive culture where you have happy employees because happy employees make happy customers and happy customers make happy owners.
Yes, sir. All right, last one I've got for franchise development. How do you keep the standard across all your franchise locations?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the toughest thing in franchising.
Right?
Because you've got entrepreneurs, but they don't want to be like full-on entrepreneurs necessarily that want to reinvent the wheel and create the brand and everything else. But they still have that mindset of like, I want to be in business for myself.
In control, yeah.
And they want to be in control. So that is tough. I think it's just constant communication, being their friend, because they don't like be the dad that they don't want to disappoint. And you could like start threatening lawsuits and like being the bad cop and like cracking down on people and getting mad at them. But you don't want the kid that's dad gets angry. You want that person that is more affected by making that person disappointed. And so
that's so powerful, man.
Yeah, if you can just relate to that person, and that's where I want to attract the people that are on the same vibe and wavelength as me. That's ultimately where I think it's going to be the most effective. Because as soon as you start throwing lawsuits at franchisees, it's done. That relationship is probably irreparable. If you're suing your franchisee and you expect them to want to make you money,
yes,
it's going to be tough. But if like, man, I don't know. I'm disappointed. Like, yeah, and that comes with earned respect, but that really comes with building a rapport and a connection with.
That's right. That's a powerful mindset. I got to learn from that. Let's get into the good parts. The Moving Titan retreats and training. What made you start Moving Titan retreats, and what's the core mission behind it?
Yeah, I think it's, we kind of discussed a little bit earlier. I mean, I had my first taste of that with Louis Massaro and just getting around people in a room. Built a lot of really powerful connections with that. And somebody else
It's
actually...
crazy you're able to get all these people in a freaking room, man. It's so powerful. It's beautiful to see.
It honestly has not been easy. Our very first one was just like our friends.
Really?
It was like my podcast guests. It was people that I had been to other events with. And we just said, hey, you want to come to Florida in January for $1,500? And like my Venmo lit up and I had like 15 signups immediately. And I was like, oh, this business is easy. Never going to worry about money again. All I have to do is like invite people to come visit me, and especially when they're my friends. But to grow up past the Airbnbs that we started it in,
the mansions you had, I remember.
Yeah, we had to make it good. So, like, we bring in good speakers that people are curious to hear from. They may not necessarily even know who they are or like them, but we try to find people that are kind of like on their up and up in their career, going viral or whatever, get them on stage to get people in the room. But the real magic happens outside of the room in those back end conversations.
Absolutely.
So we try to make it not so much just the conference where we teach you how to do your business. We try to make it a networking experience where you get to share your troubles, your barriers, your roadblocks, but also your wins. Because a lot of people don't understand us movers. Like, we got a couple beautiful women in the room right now, but most girls don't grow up thinking, I want to marry a mover.
That's right. Absolutely.
And so, but like, it's tough to relate to people that don't come from this space, you know, whether it's your partner, whether it's your wife, your spouse, your husband, whatever you're into, you know, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, or your friends. Like, a lot of them are working regular jobs, or maybe they own a business in a different area. But as movers, like, we got like this unique, like, place, and it's like lonely up at the top. You could find the best therapist in the world that won't understand what you're going through on a day-to-day basis as a mover. But when you step into that room and you've got 300 people that are all going through the same shit that you're going through every single day, but they're also giving you ideas that fire you up, that like make you excited about it. Like, that's where the magic happens. So the speakers are kind of just the draw to get people there. But once you experience that magic of having being around that group of people, then, you know, you'll come back time and time again. At least that's what we've seen.
I've experienced it personally. I've met great friends at your retreats that I talk to always, and even outside the retreat, we discuss a lot of issues and ideas. I don't know what it is about that retreat, but everybody comes in with open hearts. It's like nobody has closed doors. You know, everybody comes in wanting to want to make you feel welcome, and they also want to feel the same thing, right? So it's like always give and take. You can never just come into a room and take. So everybody understands the concept. Everybody wants to give. Everybody wants to make friends. And there are absolutely lovely people there that, you know, we talk about all day. It's just lovely to see people wanting to make genuine connections. And I've made some really good friends at your retreat, so I'm very grateful.
Well, thank you.
Why the name Tighten Up?
Because we're titans of industry, man. Like, we want to be the Rockefellers or the Carnegies or, you know, the Trumps of our industry. Because our industry, like, doesn't have this, like, dominant player that's a household name. And so we thought that, like, you know, the people that have been household names throughout history have been titans of industry. So we're like, let's create a group of titans of the moving industry. So that's what
I love the name. Tighten the fuck up, my friends. A lot of retreats focus on motivation and general information. How does Tighten Up go beyond that to create real change?
Yeah, so we'll bring a little bit of that. But we want it to come naturally. We don't want it to be like forced motivation. And I think the key to that is just getting like-minded people in the room together. You know, going back to like, be the flame, not the moth. And if we can be that flame that signifies this mentality of abundance, this open-heartedness, this, you know, generosity and good people, like, we're going to repel the people that don't have those values.
Yes, sir.
And so we're bringing together a room of people that all kind of share that same value with one another. And if they don't like it after the first day, they can leave and we'll give them their money back because we don't want them there anyway.
Yes, sir.
And so we try to bring moving company owners that are crushing it, 8- and 9-figure business owners to the stage to speak. That aren't just hype men, that aren't just there to make you motivated. Sometimes we'll have some of that too. Because I'm not opposed to getting fired up over, you know, a Tony Robbins or something event, but at the same time, we want technical takeaways. We don't want there to be a bunch of fluff. We want there to be like ideas that you can go home and implement right away that are going to 10x your business, you know, within the next year. By the time you get to the next one, we want every single person that comes back to be bigger. And I think it's a lot of just the community that we built around it, of the people that come and want to share those ideas and, you know, get around that type of group of people, because you are the people that you spend the most time with. That's and, you know, we can't spend the most time with everybody that comes, but you'll build those relationships, and then you'll come in, fly into a new country that you've never been to come visit them and see their operation. And that's what we want to see come out of it.
Yeah, I think you've got really good speakers this time, and I'm so excited to be there and listen and learn from them. It seems like it's going to be a lot of technical stuff, a lot of big moving company owners that are going to be talking a lot about specific techniques and specific ways to grow your business. So I'm excited to be there and with my notepad to learn a lot.
I mean, we're going to learn a lot from you just seeing this operation. I mean, you're one of our speakers. Like,
Thanks.
you're the type of person that we want to share their insights across
Thank
the
you.
community.
Thank you for having me there.
No, thank you for coming, because some people say no. You'd be surprised. Like, we
Really?
talked to a lot of moving company owners that are
Oh,
crushing it.
wow.
And,
So surprised about that.
and they say no. They want to keep those cards close to their chest,
No
but
way.
it's just not the right event for them. So thank you for being a part
It is
of
my pleasure, man. We're business partners. We're taking care of Tighten Up. We're training together.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do some great things together. That's for sure. We already have. And I've enjoyed every moment of it.
Same, likewise.
In Tampa, the times we spent building Tighten Up training, I hold that dear.
We got to make a documentary about it, man.
For sure.
Like, there's the backroom conversations. That's where the magic happens.
I'm sure there was a lot of good stuff on backstage. So, what's the biggest mindset shift that you see participants during the retreat?
I think it's just like realizing that mentality of abundance and that they're not alone in this journey of growing a moving company. Because growing a moving company is a low barrier to entry, but it's a high barrier to success.
Yes.
And people will get into it, not necessarily knowing what they signed up for, and they'll get sucked into it like we did. But they're like afraid of the competition. They're afraid to like share things, and then they show up to like Chad. I couldn't even get him to come to a Louis Massaro event for like 5 years.
Really?
And then I finally got him out to one of these retreats that somebody else was putting on. We even called it a retreat back then. It was just an Airbnb meetup. And he's like, dude, I don't think I belong in that room. I'm like, come on, dude. Everybody belongs in that room. Like, whether
Everybody
you're
that
ahead
wants
of
to be
them,
better.
on their level, or below them, like, there's something to learn from everybody. And when he went out to that first little gathering that we had out in Arizona during COVID, his business just took off.
Wow. Good
So
for him.
I think it's just getting people to open up and see, like, we want those light bulb moments where just the lights flick on, like I experienced in 2017. I think you experienced probably
Yes,
around
sir.
the same time. And that's ultimately what we're going for with the people that come. And I think that's the biggest thing that we see from a lot of people that do come.
How did you and Chad start this?
Well, I dragged him out to a meetup out in Arizona. And the first one I had gone to was a couple years before that. And it was strictly business. Like, it was buttoned up. We did 2-hour presentations, PowerPoints, doing this and that. We were exhausted by the end of the day, but it was good. Just wasn't fun. It was like getting a root canal. It needed to happen, but it was painful. The second one we went to kind of started out that way and then turned into a 3-day pool party. And like, we had a great group of guys out there, but we talked moving the whole time in
Wow.
the pool. And so Chad and I came back from that, and we were just like, what if we mixed like the business side with the pleasure side and just made it this like tighten up, but loosen up? Because sometimes you got to tighten up. Sometimes you got to loosen up before you can tighten up. Like I always say.
I like that line. So tell me a little bit about the new Tighten Up training program and the annual promotion we've got.
Well, I think you know a lot about the new Tighten Up training
course.
program, but we're launching Tighten Up 2.0
Yes.
at this retreat. As everybody who's on it knows, it's hosted by Lightspeed, which is the platform. Super customizable, which is how we've built Tighten Up training around. And previously, it has all been content that we filmed.
Yes.
Mover training, sales training, several other videos, compliance and legal, marketing, even fitness is in there,
That's right.
leadership.
That's
We've
right.
all done a little segment for it, but it's all been our content. And so now we've got Bradley, who's the founder and CEO of Lightspeed, the
Yes,
actual
sir.
platform, speaking at the event, coming to help us roll this 2.0 version out, because when we originally signed up, it was under Andy Elliott.
That's right.
And I don't think his team fully understood the capabilities of Tighten Up training, and that's just what we were taught. But once we connected with Brad, he was like, you guys using the AI features? You guys using the interactive stuff? Are you white labeling it and customizing it so that companies can have all of their SOPs on there? We're like, what? Like, it was like, no, we're not. And it wasn't sticky enough. And we were like, well, like, I was like, yeah, we use Trainual for our company processes, and we use Tighten Up training for like our general mover training
Yes.
and sales and everything else. And he's like, why the hell are you using Trainual? That's like riding a bicycle when you own a Bentley. I was like, it is? So we had several calls with him. He's coming out to the event, and he was like, I'm going to give you guys one of my project managers to build this out so that it is the full Tighten Up training that it can be, like the full Lightspeed capabilities. So it's got a fresh look. We're about to publish it. It's going to roll out with all new features, with interactive features, AI features. Companies are now going to be able to replace their Trainual and their other training platforms with Tighten Up training, and we're going to be demoing that with 2 college brothers at the event.
Nice.
Because we've been using Trainual for like 6 or 7 years, and I know you use it too. We've spent a ton of time and money and effort to like dial that in, and now we're bringing it all onto one platform that looks like a platform that our company created for our new hires and our movers. So, and I realized a lot of companies don't have their own SOPs documented. And I just thought that like everybody had it, because that's been preached from like day one of business, like every book, every, Lewis. But then I put some polls out onto the Facebook groups, and I realized like a lot of companies don't have their own SOPs. So like, how is that going to be a selling point with Tighten Up training if they don't even have SOPs?
That's right.
So we've contracted with a SOP building specialist that is now going to help companies build SOPs so that they can now host them on Tighten Up training or somewhere else if they want to host it somewhere else, which I don't know why you would. It'll still have all the content that we have, and we're going to continue to add that content. But they're now going to be able to white label it so it's custom tailored to their business and have all of their business SOPs on there. And we're going to help them build them if they don't have them.
So
and if they sign up for the annual version of Tighten Up training, they're going to save a bunch of money. And we're going to build a bunch of SOPs for them for free as part of that deal. And then if they want to go deeper, they can go deeper. But we ultimately want every single moving company in America to use Tighten Up training to run their business and their onboarding process and their training process on a daily basis.
Yes.
Because it has made such a big difference in my business and your business and Chad's business and everybody else that is using those features now in the beta phase. That we just know that is probably going to be the biggest needle mover for the moving industry as a whole going forward.
I think you've made a huge breakthrough with that idea, because the fact that we're going to help them build processes for their business, I think is going to open so many doors for them.
So many doors. I mean, it makes, when you have systems and processes for your business, you instantly increase the value of your business by 2 to 4x.
Absolutely.
Because nobody wants to buy a job. They want to buy a system.
That's right.
And so when you can get a system, you can get a lot more evaluation when you go to exit your moving company, whether that's this year, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, or your kids do it in 100 years.
That's
or
right.
your grandkids maybe in 100 years. But
yeah, doing this for them, I think, is going to be huge, because now they're going to be able to take so many different routes of growth. For example, they can franchise. Now they have a process to be able to continue that and pass it on to others. They don't have to depend on people as much anymore. They can depend on processes and have people run those processes.
Yep.
They can open additional locations. They can do so many different things with that.
They can kick it on a Friday and go visit other moving companies to get inspiration, because they don't have to be constantly putting out fires left and right. Like let your business run on systems and let good people lead those systems.
That's right.
Like that's the ultimate recipe for freedom. Whether you just want more time, you want more money, you want to scale, and you want to open more locations or franchise, have to have systems. Like that is the answer to all of it.
We're finally opening a lot of doors for them. I love that. I can't wait to hear more about it on the retreat. I'm sure a lot of people will be excited for that, seriously. Because it's hard for people to like come up with that initial step to want to go like, where do I find people to do this? How do I build processes? And if somebody holds their hand through that process and starts giving them the ways of building that for their business and actually does that for them, especially with the person that we found that's going to do it with their annual promotion, I think it's going to really help people's businesses.
And it frees up the handcuffs of having to rely on somebody who might know a lot but has a terrible attitude, or having to only hire from the moving industry that bring a bunch of bad habits with you. You can go now hire from other industries if you have dialed in systems, processes, and training, and get the right person with the right attitude and the right intelligence IQ level up to speed very, very quickly. And ultimately, that's what every business owner wants to do, I feel like. And I think that's what you do, is hire people on their attitude and train them on their aptitude.
Exactly. We don't want them to come with bad habits. And almost everybody I've hired from other moving companies they've had terrible habits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to have great systems to be able to get them up to speed of how we want things. When you look ahead 5 years from now, what do you picture for yourself and the business?
Yeah, I think 5 years is around the time I'm going to be really thinking hard about an exit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, you know, I want to be in a place where I'm ready to move on to something where I can slay another dragon. I think that there's a big opportunity with private equity.
Of course.
They're
yeah.
looking at a lot of home services right now. There was a time where private equity and venture capitalists were big into the tech space,
Yeah.
but that space is evolving so rapidly. It's a very volatile space, where I think home services is kind of more on that like steady incline where they're growing and they're leveraging a lot of those tech tools that are popping
Yes,
up every
of
single day.
course.
And they're very, very interested in a lot of home services. And they're starting to get very interested in a service like moving because
Yes,
it's a very
of course.
fragmented industry.
Yes.
And so I think that, you know, through the growth of my own company and through the growth of the network with the Moving Titans and the people that are on Titan Up training, we'll be able to potentially facilitate some kind of a roll up to where we can basically combine our businesses.
They're all together, yeah.
And instead of getting like a 2 to 4x value on our businesses if you have systems and processes, you can get a 10 to 15x
That's right.
on your business because you have a national presence that can consolidate a brand. And I think
agree.
that's where the real money is going to come from. I think moving is a means to a greater end of really finding true wealth in the next, hopefully 5 years. That's about where I see 5 years from now.
I strongly agree with that. What I've realized recently, going to these franchise shows, and I see private equity firms like the ones who have taken over 2 Men in a Truck and Molly Maids and Service Masters. You know, one thing I realized as I was looking at them, they definitely share leads between the 3 businesses. And that is the most expensive thing that we invest in, leads. And if you take that into perspective and realize that moving is actually a huge initiator for needing other services. You move, you need cleaning. You move, many of your appliances might need repair, or you might need to fix it before you give it back. And that's why they have Service Master. That's why they have Molly Mates. That's why they have a moving company. And I pieced that together at the franchise show. I was just staring at them. I was like, oh shit, this is what these guys are doing. And that's how they're making such more impact within their industries because they're able to share the leads between each other. And then I was walking around the franchise show and I looked at other private equity firms and I realized they are buying similar businesses. I looked at this other private equity firm that had 5 different gyms or similar like Orange Theory and F45 and this and that, those kind of businesses. They are all sharing leads. And that is what is making them stay ahead of just a singular business. Moving is a huge initiator for needing other services.
Yeah.
So that's why they're going after moving companies.
I think the average person spends between $20,000 and $60,000 within 2 or 3 months from moving to a new home, whether that's roofing, painting, inspections, appraisals, electrical work, flooring, furniture, the list goes on and on, pest control, lawn care. And so there's a huge opportunity
with moving
to be valuable linchpin in that.
Yeah. That's what clicked for me. And I was like, man, these guys are becoming gajillionaires because just the fact that they're sharing leads and they're going after moving companies because all their other businesses will triple because of the moving company. So that was a huge light bulb moment for me in the franchise shows that I've been at. The private equity firms are buying similar businesses so they can share the same leads.
Mm-hmm. It's a network. It's an ecosystem. They're building an ecosystem around human behavior.
Exactly.
And with AI and technology, they're able to dial in and hone in on exactly what little things are going to move the needle like
They
that.
become unstoppable like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to sell our moving companies in 5 years. Got it. Okay.
Yep, that's it. Roll up with us.
Family or business? These are my last questions. Couple more.
Yeah, well, I think the key to a good family is to do good business.
Mm-hmm.
I was recently in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and the sign to their city said, "A beautiful city is good business." And I think a beautiful family is good business. And if you run a good business, it helps you support your family, because how many families get torn apart because of money? And I think a lot of business owners struggle. I think there's a lot of people that marry business owners or start a business once they're married, and they struggle and they fight over money and they split up. And then you have a bunch of problems because you got, how do you divide the assets? Is this ex-wife now going to be the business partner of this other person? And I think you can just fix that by running a good business that makes money. Avoids a lot of problems. Money does solve a lot of problems. Sales solve a lot of problems.
That's right. Your business is your family. Money or power?
You sound like Kevin Spacey on House of Cards right now.
Let me hear it.
I think money can get you power. I think a lot of people pursue power, but don't have the money to do it. And then you end up like a Marco Rubio or something, or a Justin Trudeau. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to get
It's
into
okay.
politics.
Please go ahead. You can say whatever you want.
No, but I think, look at the president of the United States. Like he's for the most part pursued money most of his life, and it's allowed him to build those connections that have ultimately given him power. Whether you like him or hate him, that's what's happened.
Love that guy.
And I think
sure.
most places around the world, most world leaders found money, and there's various ways to do that, some ethical, some not, but that's ultimately what led them to power, because I think they're both intertwined in the sense that you need connections and relationships and a network to have. But I think the money usually comes before the power. Sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
Sometimes maybe that you're given the power somehow or another, you stumble into it, and then the money follows. I mean, you do see that sometimes with like Congress and whatnot, but they're easily bought. They're easily influenced away from their own values, because they come into this position of power, and then the money starts to come,
Especially
and
if
then they
don't have
follow the money
yeah.
and they make their decisions based off of that. But if you have the money first, and then you leverage that and the connections and the network to find the power, then you're less influenced by those outside influences.
You got some good answers. I love it. It'll be easier from here, I promise. SEO or ads?
I'm big on SEO. I mean, it's a long-term strategy for sure. I mean, it's hard to just flip on SEO, but that's one of the benefits our franchises get, is that we already have a high domain authority and a lot of backlinks, good content, so they can rank a lot faster on the SEO. But for the average company starting out, you might have to do ads and pay-per-click. And I mean, we do both of it. I think any good business is diversifying their marketing efforts, because Google could flip the switch and change the algorithm, and our SEO could go to shit.
Absolutely.
But I think a big one now is AI optimization, because people are using AI to search for services.
That's right.
And there's a lot of similarities with what the SEO allows you to show up on AI, but there's also a lot of new things that you got to be aware of with your schema markup and your metadata, and the reviews you're getting, and what's the content in those reviews and the pictures in those reviews.
Right.
Like if you show somebody moving boxes in front of a big beautiful house with movers in your brand, and the customer writes in the review that they moved from Largo, Florida to Valrico, Florida, and that Nick, John, and Justin were the excellent movers of the moving company, of Two College Brothers Moving and Storage, which is the best moving company. Like, it's looking at all those little signals to show up in AI.
I agree.
And ultimately, I think that's going to replace SEO. I think we're still a little ways away, because it's mostly the younger generation that's using AI to search. So SEO is still king. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't get it twisted. Because people are still going to Google to find most local services. But it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of thought and effort, and just doing it the right way to rank on SEO. But the majority of people are still going to scroll past the ads to get to the organic, what Google picked. But that's not to say the ads don't still work, because they do. You just have to track it very closely, and you got to make sure it's an ROI, and you ultimately just want to take up as much real estate on Google or AI or whatever else
That's
when
right.
it shows up. You want to make it the path of least resistance so people can find you whatever their preference is.
Yeah, I love SEO too because now I'm finally getting to see the benefit of it, and it's like 40-50% of our
And
business.
you probably spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars and 10 years to get there.
Yes.
But once you're there, it's
Yes.
pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah, and you can never stop. You got to continuously always invest in backlinks and invest in SEO because other moving companies are also doing the same thing, and it's still a big race. So
Oh,
you got to
yeah.
always stay on top.
Absolutely.
I always say I like a business where you can advertise and be profitable until its last day, and SEO is always a great bonus to have, right? If you can master the ads and you can always have a business where you can put money in and generate more money from it, it's a great business. And with regards to the pictures you mentioned on Google My Business profile, those are geotagged. So it actually helps you rank in that specific area where those pictures are taken, when they're added into this Google My Business profiles. That actually helps you rank
Yeah.
in that city as well. So
And YouTube is owned by Google.
that's right.
And Gemini is starting to kind of take the lead on like the top AI.
Yes.
Everybody thinks ChatGPT, but like there's a lot of people grumbling about this new 5.0 ChatGPT.
Yes.
Gemini, I thought Grok was going to take the lead by far and away, and that's like starting to be nothing. So, I mean, I downloaded Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, Grok.
Really?
I look at all of them. I'll a lot
Really?
of times copy and paste the same question to each and just like find an answer based off
Which
of
one do you
all of them.
like?
I mean, I was a big Grok guy for a while. I have the paid Grok subscription. That's the only one I'm paying for right now. Actually, if you have Google Workspace, if you have like a Gmail that has your company name, you get Gemini Pro. A lot of people don't know that. I just discovered
I
that
didn't
the
know
other
that.
day. Yeah. So, which is basically the paid version of ChatGPT or Grok. So I was like going to Grok for a while, and I still kind of like it. Grok has the advantage of scraping all of X or Twitter.
I see.
And it pulls a lot of good proprietary information off of that the other AIs can't do. So it depends really what you're searching for. And they all kind of are better at certain things than others. ChatGPT is probably the most user-friendly for somebody just starting out learning AI that wants a diary that they can talk about their significant other in and that learns more about their significant other than they know about themselves. But
You're searching him up?
but I'm kind of bullish on Gemini these days.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't tried it.
Especially since I didn't even realize I had the pro version already since
no
we use it
idea.
for two college brothers.
I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Service, business, or product? I mean, I think I already know the answer, but let's hear it.
Yeah. I mean, obviously moving's a service, but we're starting to go more into the products. We just launched an online store for materials,
Oh, very nice.
which I think is going to be a really good thing for a lot of reasons. One, it gives us another opportunity to rank on SEO. So if somebody's looking for moving boxes and we start to show up for moving boxes aside from U-Haul and Home Depot as like the local moving
course, of
boxes near
course.
me, that's going to bring more sales to our company.
Yes.
But it's also a lead because who's buying moving boxes if they're not moving? So
right.
now we have a lead from this person that found us because of our moving boxes. But I think that there's a huge retail market for moving boxes too, because you can sell them to people that aren't your customer. And our established, our selling point, unique selling point on that is we'll deliver it to your house for free.
Oh, very nice.
We might be a little more expensive than Home Depot or U-Haul, but are you going to know exactly what you need for your move?
Yes.
Are you going to want to go take the time out of your day to go in your Toyota Corolla to go pick up
worth
4
money,
bedrooms
yeah, of
worth of
course.
moving boxes when we could deliver it for free every Tuesday? Or you still can come pick them up from our office and we'll tell you what you need and we'll consult you on it. But I really think that, HVAC is really big on both. They will come out, they'll set you up on a service plan for $79 a month for life, essentially. They'll come out, they'll fix your thing. Maybe your service plan covers a portion of it, maybe it doesn't. So they'll charge you on the service to fix your AC unit. And then a lot of these HVAC companies, some of them are less ethical than others. They'll just sell you a new $10,000 AC unit with a 150% markup on it because they're getting it from Carrier at a basically at cost rate to put the Carrier brand out there. And so they're capturing a lot of markets. They've got recurring revenue on the service plan. They've got the service fees that they charge, which are basically the same as moving. except probably higher because they have more technicians than they do, somebody like a mover. And then they're also selling the product with a huge markup at a big ticket. Same thing with roofing. They're selling you the materials and the labor. Maybe they do a service plan too. It's tough to do a service plan with moving, but I think by distinguishing into the product marketplace by selling moving supplies, because otherwise you're just going to a big box retailer when you could, like, moving companies are really the only like independent small town, small business source that you can get it from, and offering a differentiator like free delivery and consultation on it. There's a huge potential to make a lot of money on that, because there's a lot of people moving and they don't even have to use your services, but they might buy your boxes. And if you deliver them for free, you can get that movie theater popcorn markup where it's 3, 4, 5 times what they might find at U-Haul, but the convenience is what they're paying for. And then you get the lead. And so then you can do what you want with the lead and turn it into a service.
I like that. I mean, it is valuable not having to go there, purchase, not even knowing how many you have to purchase. Then you have to return the extra ones. I love the consultation service. That's really nice. I'm actually rebuilding my material website. So I might add that consultation service.
I think you gave me that idea to have the online store for materials. I was like, man, like, I want to be like Tim. I want an online store. Like, this is brilliant. Like, super smart. So props to you for that.
Thanks, man. Online or offline? This is my last question.
I would say I'm always online, even if I'm offline. I've been tempted to check my phone since I've been. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I think there's a lot of things headed towards AI, SEO. Like back in the day, if you had the biggest Yellow Pages ad, you won. And then Google came along, and then it was whoever had the best website won.
That's right, yeah.
And now it's starting to become whoever has the best AI wins. But Google is still very relevant, and social media is still very relevant. But now, like when you were that first mover to build the top ranking SEO website when Google was rising, you had a huge advantage. But now everybody's competing for that real estate. Then you were trying to be the best social media company and influencer. Now everybody's also competing for that. Now everybody's trying to start to compete for AI. And that's starting to become super well known. So I think it's come full circle, and we're going back to grassroots, and it's coming a lot more down to building relationships, going to the networking groups, stopping in, doing the drop-ins in person, seeing the face, because now nobody's doing that. And that's used to be what everybody was doing. So if you can master all that stuff, but come full circle back to those grassroots efforts, you're going to now have the advantage. Whereas before, everybody was doing the grassroots stuff and nobody was doing the digital companies were winning. Now everybody's trying to do the digital. So just kind of think backwards a little bit and go after the grassroots. Get on the news. Do PR. Go stop in and shake hands with people. Meet realtors, meet apartment managers, meet interior designers. Because nobody's doing that anymore. So if you just bring some flowers to the ladies at the front desk at the apartment complex or whatever, bring some donuts to the real estate officer, drop branded boxes off at the real estate office so that the agents can bring those to their listing appointments and use them as a leave behind to stand out from their agents and make it a what's in it for them, then I think that's ultimately what's going to help you win. So I guess I'm more trending towards the offline, but you got to still be dominating online too. You got to do both.
Everybody's searching online, everybody's at home, but if you master both, you have it all.
Yeah, and nobody gets to talk to the owner anymore too. So like, no matter how big you get, don't forget that you're the owner and you have the most sway in any sale. So if you have a big project that somebody in your company's working on, your AI voice agent's working on, if you just grab that phone and call that customer and say, hey, I'm the owner. I just want to make sure you have a great experience.
It's over.
It's over. Especially if you built the relationship in the community and they know who you are.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here, my friend. I'm excited for our weekend. I'm excited for Tampa.
Thank you for the hospitality, man. You know how to do it right. You've really shown us a great time. We've only been here for like less than 24 hours.
I'm excited, man. I'm excited for really everything. I think our relationship speaks a lot about what the moving industry really stands for. We're really trying to connect and be genuine all the time. And I've loved every moment of everything we've ever had, from the first moment we've met until we became business partners, and now we're good friends. It's been an amazing experience for me to get to know you and be friends with you. It really means a lot.
Likewise, man. I'm happy to have a Canadian friend, finally. You've been awesome, Tim. Thank you, man.
Let's go.